Hello and welcome on into the Ultras on TS. I'm Jordan Fabian Khan, joined alongside Josh Piercy, Jeff Wall, and making his debut to the Ultras, we have Mikey Benora. Mikey, how does it feel to join the lads here today?
Oh, it feels great. It feels great to be here for sure. Excited to join this group of guys talking footy every Sunday.
Yeah, and you fit right in with the facial hair, which I'm currently lacking, so you make up for it this week. Boys, we got to get right into it. Today was not the wildest day that we expected. The London rivalry, the big one, Chelsea versus Tottenham. It was an eagerly anticipated matchup between two neighbours who were free scoring entering the match, but failed to produce a single goal. So, boys, what do you think? What did you make of this match? Josh, I'm going to come to you first because you're our local Spurs guy. Do you believe that Spurs were luckier to get the point in this one, or was it Mourinho's apprentice, Frank Lampard, and his Chelsea side?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think they were both kind of lucky to get a point in this one. I mean, I want to point out the fact that I think Spurs versus Chelsea is probably the biggest rivalry in London right now. It used to be Arsenal versus Chelsea or Arsenal versus Spurs, but I think it's the two of them that really come together. Ever since the Battle of the Bridge back in, 2016 when Leicester won the title, and they shut Spurs out in order to keep them from getting anywhere close to the start of that year. It's been a massive rivalry, and today, I mean, it was reignited again. It was a bit of a cagey game, and obviously most of the good chances came in the first half, and then again in the last couple minutes. But I don't know. I think for the first time since maybe 2018, Tottenham kind of look like they have a bit of a game plan about them again. They play in a style that I think can really give some teams some trouble, and what they did was they were set up defensively, and the structure was incredible, and then Frank Lampard's side didn't really produce a moment of magic like they could have in order to get a win. But I think both sides, a 0-0 draw was probably deserved today, and another chapter in their big rivalry.
Yeah, I would say it wasn't a game I was hoping for personally as a neutral, obviously. But, Josh, I would agree with you. I think it has really become the more intense rivalry. I think, obviously, Arsenal and Tottenham is more of a, historical rivalry. There's a lot more deeper context, I guess, with that rivalry in terms of, why the clubs really hate each other. But I think, in terms of, the marquee matchup, I think you're totally right. I think Chelsea-Spurs is one that everybody should be watching, and especially this season with both teams, I believe, only with one loss so far, and both are looking really good. I mean, the one thing I thought maybe we would see is, Chelsea's over-aggression kind of hurt them, but Mourinho really set up shop. He neutralized Frank Lampard's lack of tactical acumen, and I I guess in that part, what else do I expect, right? I guess maybe I thought there might be a little bit more bite with Spurs attack, but still, nonetheless, definitely the marquee matchup, and I can't wait to see the second round of it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Josh and Jeff. It is a marquee matchup when it comes to London now. And today's match, I was impressed by both managers. Obviously, you know what you're going to get out of Jose Mourinho, kind of absorb all the pressure coming in and kind of build off a counterattack on that. But Chelsea also countered a counterattack very well. So I was very impressed by both managers today. And that's the thing with Tottenham, though. They work well as a team compared to Chelsea. Chelsea have more talent, I believe, but Tottenham definitely work better as a team. And today I was happy with how both managers managed the game.
Chelsea don't have more talent, but okay.
And move on from that. Jeff, I'm glad you mentioned the over-aggression that Chelsea usually show going into matchups. And obviously, Jose Mourinho, we've known his tactic of defend, and attack when he can and kind of steal the point. That became kind of his ploy when he was a Chelsea manager all those years ago. And it's interesting that was a 0-0 draw because the two top scoring sides tied for it. Tottenham had 21 goals entering the match. Chelsea had 22. We expected a lot more and we didn't get it. So we're looking forward to this fierce matchup when it comes the second time this season. But now we have to talk about the other, I guess they're not really free scoring this season, but last season, absolutely. Liverpool tying 1-1 with Sheffield United. Jurgen Klopp gave us a classic Jurgen Klopp moment, something he's become accustomed to. Not only did he go back at BT reporter Des Kelly for, congratulating him for Milner's injury in the game due to TV programming. He also hit back at Chris Wilder for opposing a 5 substitute rule. Jeff, how do you feel about Klopp going out like this? It's something we're accustomed to with other managers, and he's kind of made his name as an aggressive kind of interviewee, you would say.
Yeah, you would almost think like nothing's going right for Liverpool. Like the world is against you. You know, I mean, it's like he's not just coming off one of the best, or sorry, actually, realistically, the two best Premier League seasons we have ever seen. Like top five. I mean, I know they didn't win the title 2 years ago, but that was really unlucky for them to not do so. And then they just won the Champions League prior to that. He's got a great squad. He's got a team that is working with him, and that's not what this club right here can say. That's for sure. But you know what? Jurgen Klopp is just known to be now a sore loser. I mean, I love his energy. I love his approach to the game. I think he's one of the best managers in the world. I love him for that. But then he just comes out with this stuff, and it's kind of pathetic, you know? I mean, one day, when he loses especially, you'll hear him complaining about like the wind. Like as if that's not a thing you see in football in general across the world. Like I just don't get it.
It might be in the windiest country in the world, to be honest with you, and he's complaining about the wind. But continue.
Yeah, it's like, did you not account for that sort of thing coming in? I mean, I just don't get it. I don't like. He's a good enough manager to overcome a lot of these things. The 5 substitute rule, I'm totally in favor with him. I think it's kind of an overreaction to say like, oh, well, the big clubs are going to dominate that way. They're going to dominate you either way. I mean, like I think with the safety of the players, that should be first and foremost with this season. That is so strange, and you can adjust it the following season. But I just thought he was just so petty, and it just like if this was your first sighting of Jurgen Klopp, he looks like the most unlikable human being you've ever seen in that interview. I just thought it was just really pathetic, honestly. It left a really bad taste in my mouth.
Where is this aggression coming from, Jeff? Jeez, I mean, you sound like the way Jurgen Klopp was talking about Chris Wilder. I mean, for one, Chris Wilder didn't deserve any of that, okay? He was just sitting at home. Leave me out of it. I don't want any part of it. But I don't know. I'd rather have a manager be like Jurgen Klopp and kind of care about results, even if it kind of feels petty, than go out there and, give a boring press conference like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does every week.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Josh. I like this fiery side of managers because it shows they really care about the results, like you just said, and they don't like losing. And obviously, Klopp didn't lose, but he didn't like drawing against Brighton, and who would like to draw against that type of team, especially with Liverpool. So I think I don't mind kind of managers reacting in that way. I really don't care for it because it shows for me like those guys care about the results, and all they care about is winning.
So, I would say, honestly, Jurgen Klopp has become one of the best managers in the world. That's undeniably, right? When Jose Mourinho was doing this at the start of his career, it was probably more scrutinized back then because he didn't, let's say he won a Champions League with Inter Milan and he was running up and down sidelines and it was wicked, hilarious. And that was his character and people loved him and hated him. Do you boys feel like this is going to taint Jurgen Klopp's legacy if, let's say, Liverpool don't make the Champions League next year?
I'll say down the road, if Jurgen Klopp lasts more than 5 years, it sounds like he may not be with us for too much longer, so we should enjoy him while we have him. But I think what we have seen with Jose is just the act kind of got stale. And also because he became more of a winner and a bit less of an underdog, whereas Klopp has been somewhat of an underdog most of his career, building up sides that maybe shouldn't not quite be there, but haven't really done a lot in recent years. So that's why I think people love him. But maybe as he starts to win more, it will kind of wear on people.
Jose Mourinho is getting a lot of hate this season, and he has over the last couple seasons, and it needs to stop, man, because he did a good job at every single club he was at, man. Give me a break. Even
single club?
Even Alex Ferguson, when he left Manchester United and David Moyes came in, I mean, you're talking about a team that had like a bunch of 38-year-olds and Tom Cleverley in the middle of the midfield. I mean, when Jose Mourinho left Manchester United, at least it was a good team. I don't know, man. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to cut it out.
He kind of left us in ruins, though.
Respect. He did not leave you in ruins. Get out of here, man. That was a good team to work on. I mean, he would have got better and better the next season, too. You let go of him too early. I digress.
Yeah, we need to move on from that topic because you can go on all day if you wanted to. Let's move over to Italy now in the Serie A, where it's kind of shambles. 3 sides where you would say they might be competing for the title have honestly not had the best start and have all dropped points in the last weekend that we just saw. So that is Juventus, Atalanta, and Lazio all losing 3 points. Losing out on 3 points. Is it AC Milan's title to win now? Mikey, I'm coming to you.
I don't think I think it's really early to say something along the lines of that. I think give it a few 6, 7 more match days, and we could kind of decide who the favorite is going for the Scudetto. But AC Milan have looked really good this season. I watch every single game as a Milan fan. I know this is bias, but even today, without Ibrahimovic beating out Fiorentina 2-0, dominating most of the game, they just looked really well. And then they might not be the strongest team, but they're definitely a team that connect very well together and gel very well. And you can see that with how they communicate with each other on and off the field. So I think if if there's a time for AC Milan to win, it could be this season, them or Inter Milan to finally break the curse of Juventus.
Of course, and AC Milan have not lost a game yet this season, and the teams that they've beaten in the opening 9 matches include the likes of Inter Milan. They have tied Roma. They've beaten Udinese, might consider that easy, along with Napoli just last week. So I want to talk about Inter Milan just very quickly off the top of your head. Do you think they're actually going to challenge further down into the season? What kind of players, like Lukaku, we know gets off to a fiery start. He gets some momentum and keeps going. Are they that team that will follow in his footsteps?
Well, it all depends with Antonio Conte, in my personal opinion, because Antonio Conte is a very good manager, but he's very stubborn. He doesn't like to change his tactics for certain teams. He likes to stick what he has going. But last match against an unbeaten Sassuolo, who are a very good team, very solid team this season, he finally changed his tactics, kind of played his 3-5-2, which changed the strikers up top, kind of put one behind the other instead of two beside each other. And it worked out perfectly, and it dominated. And we haven't seen that Conte in a long time. So I think if Inter follow in the footsteps of Antonio Conte changing his tactics for certain teams, while also Lukaku playing the way he has been all season, that could gel a Scudetto right there for that squad. They're a very good team, and they have a lot of good players on that squad to kind of push them to the Scudetto.
I think, for them, a good thing actually would be finishing fourth in their group in the Champions League, not dealing with Europa League. And I think it's kind of helped kind of to what you were just pointing to, Mikey. They got to figure out who they need to build around, right? They've got a lot of talent there, but which one is the guy? Who is really the guy you want to build this club around? And I think it's very obviously Romelu Lukaku, and that's who you got to focus on. You're totally right.
Yeah, Romelu Lukaku is a fantastic player. You also have Lautaro Martinez, and it's kind of hard because they link up well, luckily, up top together. But those two type of strikers, both marksman strikers that are just big body guys, just lethal finishers, usually don't link up. So Inter got very lucky there.
I definitely agree. And now we got to move on from the Serie A in Italy into the Bundesliga title in Germany. And Bayern Munich, obviously, I say obviously because it is pretty obvious, if you would say, lead the league. And they're on 22 points, but down 4 points. And Jeff, you kind of brought this up in our pre-conversation. That Dortmund haven't got off to a fiery start. They've lost 3 matches out of their opening 9, but they're only trailing by 4 points from the top of the table. They're the only team in the top 7 to have lost 3 matches so far. What do you think they're doing wrong? I mean, losing 3 in the first 9 is never good, but they're still within reach. What can they do? What changes can they make to challenge Bayern and close the gap?
A lot would have to change, and I don't think that they really can change it at this moment right now. I mean, I think it's weird. Dortmund has the talent to keep a lot more goals, more balls out of the back of their net. They can defend a lot better, I think, than they've shown in years. Berkey is a very good keeper. I don't understand why there's just an inconsistency here. I mean, it happens to everybody, right? But it's just so puzzling. I really think at the end of the day, Borussia Dortmund messed up a couple years ago when they let go of Thomas Tuchel. When they had that issue with him and they let him go, then they tried Peter Bosch. Peter Bosch didn't work. Then Peter Stöger came in for a little bit. He worked out for maybe like 2 matches, and then it was clear that the side was really inconsistent, barely got them into the top 4. And then Favre has challenged for the title, but now I think Bayern is clearly now way too far away. And while that match a couple weeks ago in the Der Klassiker was really close, Dortmund have just been way too inconsistent. And if you've already lost 3 matches, how many more are you going to lose? And how many more are we going to expect Bayern to lose? I think Dortmund really messed this up. And I just now, if you let go of Favre at the end of this season, which I would imagine they do, who are you going to get? Who are you going to get that no one else wants? There's a lot of other teams I could see rebuilding, wanting other managers, and I don't think Dortmund's going to be in the running for all those great guys.
I like that you mentioned. Sorry, don't, Josh. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Jordan. There is a lot of problems with Dortmund right now. They're one of my favorite teams to watch just for the main fact of Erling Braut Haaland. But I think a lot of problems line of hands in the defense, to be completely honest with you. I don't think – you look at the big teams, they have that one marquee center back, and I don't think Matt Hummels is that center back anymore. I don't think Akanji is going to be that center back at all. I just don't think they have that one crucial center back that can kind of lead that back line into crucial victories, to games that – might not seem like the nicest wins in the world, but you need to win those games, the ones you gotta kind of scrape out.
I'll definitely agree with you on that one. Okay, now we're moving into Spain and La Liga, where we're going to focus on one major issue on one of the top sides. Real Madrid suffered a setback not only by losing to Alaves 2-1, but they also lost Eden Hazard, who has had a number of lengthy injuries in his career in Madrid. So making his third start of the season and fourth in all competitions, he was substituted just under 30 minutes. I think it was 28 with a leg injury. What does he do now? That's my question, because this seems like it's a reoccurring issue, and not to be a host that picks a side, but I'm not liking his career so far.
Wow, not liking his career. Wow, that is a bold statement, Jordan.
Madrid. Let me say that.
Okay, that's fair. That's definitely fair. I think pretty much all of us are in unanimous agreement that his career at Madrid has been pretty much anything. You know what? It's been a failure. It's been a failure, and I think even in his career at Chelsea, he was so inconsistent. Like every other year, he'd be like the biggest flop in the Premier League. I mean, like every single one year he's the greatest player in the Premier League. The next, you don't know where to go. Is he injured? Is what's going on, right? And then he comes to Spain, and just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And honestly, I didn't expect it to go this bad. I didn't think he would be great, honestly, but I didn't expect it to go this bad. And I really wonder what's going on. Is Zidane a guy who just kills certain guys' morale? Is he that brutal? Is he the same with what he did with Gareth Bale or James Rodriguez? I don't know, but this has got to be one of the biggest busts out of those three signings, actually, when you really think about it. I'd put him up there as number one.
Well, he's probably the biggest bust as far as the transfer goes, almost of all time. I mean, costs a lot of money. I feel bad for him, man. I don't think it's really his fault. I think that everyone talks about his work ethic and his inconsistency and his capabilities. He definitely is capable of being a galactico. It just hasn't really worked out for him. And, I mean, it doesn't work out for a lot of people, especially at Madrid. But what you say about Zidane may be right. Maybe he's outcasting a couple of these star players. And the reason behind that, I have no idea. But I feel bad for Edmund. And even when he has played, it hasn't really fit in. And sometimes it just works out like that.
I completely agree with you, Jeff, in the sense that he's inconsistent. One of the most inconsistent players football has seen in a while. But I'm going to have to go with Josh here that his time at Real Madrid, I don't think it's all been his fault. I think it's just bad luck, bad timing, all that. I don't think he should have left Chelsea in the first place. That's my personal opinion. I think he should have stayed there his whole career. But just the fact you can't blame injuries on a guy's lack of work and all that type of stuff. It's just unlucky for the timing. And although I wish I could see him succeed at Real Madrid, I think his time's up there.
And I think the question would be now is who takes him, right? If you're, I feel like, do you think you guys would, I mean, I could see you guys having the money, but would you be willing to risk that? Because then you got a guy, I feel like sometimes when a big signing comes in, they got high expectations. If he doesn't perform, or even if he's just injured on the bench the whole time, that can hurt a lot. And you guys got so much momentum for you. Would you guys be willing to risk that?
I would risk signing him. There's a lot of players I'd risk sign. But the thing about Milan, which is interesting, is there's such a young squad. Why not bring in a veteran, somewhat of a veteran presence, an older guy to kind of help out, and especially the wingers, because they have a lot of young wingers. One on loan from Real Madrid right now, Brahim Diaz, who's a great young talent, I believe. Why not bring him in and kind of teach him the talents and some sort of skill and something like that along the way? It doesn't hurt. That's what they did with Ibra, and look how it's turned out.
No, PSG is absolutely the only place that Eden Hazard could go. There's no doubt about it. They're the only place that has the money, and it's in France. Just makes sense.
I guess then what is the price tag?
I don't know. Maybe a bag of potatoes, maybe some peas. I don't know.
I'd say he's like 40 mil. I say he's 40 mil, and I don't know how many guys are going to be willing to take that.
That's a lot of potatoes, man.
I think he's going to sit on that bench until the team comes offering the right amount of money for, I don't know, a player like that who was supposed to be the replacement for Cristiano Ronaldo, if you do remember. Now, boys, I have to ask the question right before we end. Zidane may force players out of the team, but Josh, I'm going to go to your point and say that Eden Hazard hasn't had the best look on this Real Madrid side because of his injuries. But if he wasn't injured and he comes back into the side and he doesn't play as well as he was for Chelsea, is he playing golf? Is Zidane paying for that golf course?
Yeah, I think so, probably. I mean, I don't know. Zidane could use whatever help he can get this season. It's not going to be easy for him either way. And I don't think Eden Hazard will ever be what he was at Chelsea. What you guys are saying about inconsistency, blah, 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 blah. This was a guy who was the best player in the Premier League for at least 2 seasons of his time at Chelsea. So, again, respect, okay? Respect. And he has a lot to offer, but he won't come back into the Real Madrid side. It's too far gone, I think.
Yeah, I respect that answer, and I'm actually going to end on that. Unlike Eden Hazard, we're going to keep consistent and be back here on Sunday next week, where you can like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. You'll find the links in the bio below. See you next week.